The Good Dinosaur made Pixar history, but in all the wrong ways. As a longtime Disney fan, it's disheartening to see their movies with so much potential never get the love they deserved from the start.
You don't understand. That's okay.
Disney poured immense resources into these projects, relying on blockbuster success. Yet, despite the initial hype and continued appreciation from audiences like me, they failed to generate the desired returns, leaving Disney to grapple with the aftermath of their ambitious yet unfulfilled cinematic ventures, including but not limited to several cast revisions, multiple release delays, and an oversimplified storyline. This is Disney's failed next big thing, The Good Dinosaur. What if the asteroid that killed all the dinosaurs missed Earth? This was the brilliant concept that got Bob Peterson thinking and eventually led to the 2015 release of The Good Dinosaur, an alternate prehistory where humans evolved alongside dinosaurs. Count me in. Imagine having your own dinosaur pets like Pebbles and Bam Bam from the Flintstones. It's about two beings from completely different worlds learning to interact and finding friendship through various adventurous ups and downs. This movie had a golden ticket, a recipe for success, if there ever was one. And as someone who grew up with the Flintstones, dinosaurs, Denver the Last Dinosaur, The Land Before Time, Ice Age, and the Super Mario animated series, I was more excited for this movie than the first time Laura Dern's character saw the Brachiosauruses in Jurassic Park. The Good Dinosaur had everything going for it: stunning animation, emotional storyline, unique concept, strong voice cast, and a massive budget and high production values. The project's strengths were remarkable, but would face a barrage of problems, turning the behind the scenes of this family film into a production hell. All that could save it was a strong team and cast, right? Well, some weren't even on the film's payroll long enough to evade the inevitable. Bob Peterson, known for his work on movies such as Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc., and Up, in which he also provided the voice of Doug the dog, by the way.
Speak!
Hi there.
Did that dog just say hi there?
Did a terrific job of putting together a magnificent voice cast. I mean, how's this for a dream team? John Lithgow from Third Rock from the Sun, Judy Greer from Archer, Neil Patrick Harris from How I Met Your Mother, and the hilarious SNL stalwart Bill Hader. That is one unbeatable combination of comedic voice talent, a team worthy of creating a heartfelt yet humorous masterpiece. If only everything had gone according to plan. Things happened. Unnecessary things. Bob was forced to leave, and the movie that Bob Peterson originally envisioned never made it to the big screen or even into full production. But firing Bob also meant replacing Bob's killer cast, because the old cast no longer fit in with the updated vision for the movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing shade on the new cast. They aren't that bad. But to be honest, when I first saw the list, I didn't recognize half these names and had to Google them. The cast includes Raymond Ochoa as Arlo, Jack Bright as Spot, Jeffrey Wright as Papa, Frances McDormand as Mama, Steve Zahn as Thunderclap, Anna Paquin as Ramsey, and Sam Elliott as Butch. This revised cast brought a completely new dynamic to the film, aligning with the new direction of replacement director Peter Sohn. A new direction which promised to make the plot tighter and the characters more relatable, aiming for a more streamlined and emotionally resonant story. Peter Sohn, who had been the co-director, was asked to take over from Bob Peterson, and for a really mind-boggling reason. The world Bob had imagined for the film was brilliant but intense. Too intense, apparently. His mold-breaking vision for The Good Dinosaur included several quirky but exciting elements. Now, get this. Originally, the film was to focus more on a pastoral lifestyle with dinosaurs resembling Amish farmers, if you can believe it. This version featured an older Arlo, that's the dinosaur, along with 3 complex interconnected plot lines. Additionally, Peterson's vision included a wider array of dinosaur characters and more detailed world building. For instance, there was a story version of Arlo being accompanied by a bird-like character on a journey. If none of that sounds familiar, don't fret, this ain't no Mandela effect. This version of the movie never saw the light. Bob's ideas were deemed too complex, and for this, he was booted. Moral of the story apparently, don't be too smart, kids. Color inside the lines. Despite Bob taking his dismissal with grace, his departure led to a cascade of issues that plunged the production into what the crew dubbed a production hell, a name that wasn't chosen lightly. Art is often birthed from chaos, but in 2013, the chaos at Pixar might have gotten just a tiny bit out of hand. The problem was, Bob Peterson, who'd worked on the film since 2009, was fired in 2013, less than a year before the scheduled release of The Good Dinosaur, turning the production into a circus. No, actually, not just a circus on fire with a killer bee infestation where all the monkeys have machine guns. Yeah, that's more like it. It was truly hell for Pixar's production team. Suddenly, 4 years of work was just lost, thrown in the trash and lit on fire. Because simplifying Bob's complex ideas for some reason meant that Peterson had to start from scratch. Basically, the only things that resembled Bob's initial idea was the kid and the dinosaur. Have you ever tried to make a whole movie in a year? Do you wanna? Me neither. The story suffered a complete overhaul in this simplification process. Characters were written out of existence. Arlo was redesigned as a much younger dinosaur, no longer 70 feet, which was initially meant to be a contrast with the boy's tiny size. The designs of all the dinosaurs were changed to make them more cuddly, and the harsh prehistoric environment became a larger part of the story and a character in itself, which I liked because the environment is one of the most interesting parts of a movie set in prehistory. And like we've already mentioned, the brilliant John Lithgow, who was very verbal about his excitement and confidence in the film's direction, did not make the cut. Additionally, massive technical and animation changes also had to be made, such as incorporating volumetric clouds for realistic lighting and shadow effects, developing new methods for animating dinosaur movements based on observations of elephants to ensure natural locomotion, and creating hyper-realistic natural settings modeled after places like the Salmon River and Zion National Park. In short, from a visual POV, they were injecting the wow factor like crazy, but this led to even more delays. The Good Dinosaur was supposed to be released in 2013, then 2014, and eventually escaped production and graced the big screens only in 2015. A normal, healthy production schedule is around 4 years, producing successful movies like Toy Story in Finding Nemo.
What's wrong with this man? He looks funny! Ow! Hey, what'd I do?
Be nice. It's his first time at school.
But The Good Dinosaur took 6 years to make. Production hell indeed. And of course, there are movies like Avatar that took over a decade to make. But ladies and gents, although most of the animation work is impressive, The Good Dinosaur ain't Avatar. Nor did it have Avatar's budget and returns. The Good Dinosaur took 6 years to make. Production hell indeed. And of course, there are movies like Avatar that took over a decade to make. But,
Ladies and gentlemen,
although most of the animation work is impressive, The Good Dinosaur ain't Avatar, nor did it have Avatar's budget and returns. Although, when I heard how much The Good Dinosaur's budget was, I almost fell out of my ergonomic gaming chair. The initial planned budget was massive to begin with, and then grew even more significantly with all the massive changes. Changes that didn't affect The Good Dinosaur alone, but Pixar as a whole. And mostly negatively. The layoffs at Pixar in 2013 were a direct result of the delays and budget issues related to The Good Dinosaur. The film's delayed release due to the significant story and directorial changes led Pixar to lay off about 60 employees, which was nearly 5% of its workforce at the time. Additionally, they didn't release any movies in 2014, which was the first time Pixar missed a release year since 2005, highlighting the significant impact of the production delays and changes for The Good Dinosaur. The Good Dinosaur's final budget was over $200 million, and to put that into perspective, that's 33% more money than what it cost to make the phenomenally successful Frozen. But apart from these pesky setbacks, and with such a fat budget at hand, Pixar had a good thing brewing, if you ask me. The makings of a blockbuster, maybe even the next big thing. It had to work. They did what they thought was best at the time, and who could fault them for that? Pixar really believed in the movie, especially in the final version. That's why they made huge financial and ethical sacrifices for The Good Dinosaur. They believed in the concept and spared no expense to ensure it would rock people's worlds. The film boasts animation of unparalleled quality and impressive photorealistic landscapes, featuring stunning scenes with running water, swaying leaves, steam, and clouds. Visually, it's a work of art. They assembled a voice cast perfectly suited for the story and crafted a narrative meant to resonate with viewers of all ages. The massive budget, akin to other Pixar milestones like Toy Story, promised greatness. On paper, it had all the makings of a box office triumph. In reality, however, it brought Pixar back down to earth. Things did not go as planned. Although The Good Dinosaur did not make a loss, its profits were a mere $100 million. Small change in the world of Disney and Pixar. Compare that to Frozen, which had only 60% of The Good Dinosaur's budget, but grossed over $1.2 billion and made a profit of approximately $1 billion. That's 10 times what The Good Dinosaur made. If that happened to a movie I'd worked on, I would probably have just quit. But maybe that's just me. I don't like failing. In essence, and this is the harsh part, it took Pixar 6 years to create their first ever box office flop. 6 years gone, and Bob Peterson probably giggling around a corner, trying not to scream out, "I told you so!" The film struggled to connect with audiences. Pixar explained partly due to its release shortly after Inside Out and competition with other holiday films, but these are only the surface reasons. Is that the truth? Only part of it, because more mistakes had been made. Hindsight is 20/20, as they say, but it's fascinating to discover what exactly can make a 6-year, $200 million project crash and burn. I've identified 7 factors that led to The Good Dinosaur's anticlimactic reception. 1. When I finally watched the movie back in 2015, it seemed like they'd pushed all the cool stuff to the background. The focus was on Arlo and Spot's simple and predictable journey, and the core idea, the concept that got the whole movie started, the near-hit extinction scenario, was now only used to give a reason why a human and dinosaur would exist at the same time and place. 2. There was nothing new. The story follows a familiar child separated from family trope, but without the depth or stakes that make such stories engaging, like movies such as Finding Nemo and The Lion King. Generic and derivative as hell. 3. The narrative is minimalistic and oversimplified, with characters that feel underdeveloped, almost like cardboard cutouts, dull and unmemorable. Arlo, the protagonist, is seen as a generic character who doesn't undergo significant development, making it hard for viewers to connect with him. 4. It had the emotional depth of a rock lizard. Comparisons to The Lion King highlight the film's shortcomings. While The Lion King masterfully engages viewers with its emotional depth and character development, The Good Dinosaur falls short. The emotional elements, such as the death of Arlo's father, seem more manipulative than necessary, aiming to evoke sadness without sufficient narrative support. 5. Despite the impressive visuals, The Good Dinosaur struggled to captivate audiences due to its lack of engaging story and characters. The film showcased stunning photorealistic environments, but there was a significant disconnect between these environments and the cartoonish character designs. This mismatch created a jarring visual experience and left viewers unimmersed. 6. The film's release timing was terrible, debuting during a crowded holiday season. The Good Dinosaur faced stiff competition from major blockbusters like The Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 2 and Star Wars: The Force Awakens. 7. The marketing campaign made the movie appear generic and unappealing, which did not help its case amidst its strong competitors. But you can only go so far with marketing. I believe people have become desensitized to visuals, no matter how mind-blowing they might be. In order to create a successful trailer, you need an engaging story to start with. And that story died with Bob's departure. And myself and fans have reason to wish it hadn't. So first, yes, Pixar made a bad movie. It'll probably happen again in our lifetimes, and I think it's time we get over it. Except for those 60 people that got fired. They've got reason to hold a grudge. Everything can't be a masterpiece. We need to realize that. Still, The Good Dinosaur received a 76% rating from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Although below Pixar's usual standards, it's not a total bomb. Audience reception was even less favorable, with a 65% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, indicating a lack of strong word-of-mouth support. But damn, I would have loved to see where Bob's ideas and concepts could have taken this. In my mind's eye, I imagine something more like an animated Jurassic Park mixed with the Iron Giant, and I think that's the vision Bob had as well. More realistic dinosaurs, and not ones that look like sock puppets would have made such a big difference. I imagine Bob in a scene from The Godfather holding the DVD of The Good Dinosaur in his hands and saying, "Look at how they massacred my boy!" Even the humor was lackluster because, in my opinion, it lacked the original voice cast, who could have had much more fun with it. Although there was an odd moment of humor early in the movie, which this time leaned too far to the other side, when a triceratops turned up in a scene that felt like it was written by a surreal sketch comedy troupe. It was as if someone spiked my popcorn with hallucinogenic fruit. Bizarre. There were some other interesting surprises though. Arlo, our protagonist, ends up with cuts, scars, and bruises as he tumbles down rocks and trips over branches, which was surprisingly graphic for an animated film. But guess what? The character's still boring as a rock. The film struggles with the issue that Arlo will never be that interesting to adults, and probably even the smallest kids. I have this instinctive feeling that young viewers were trying to connect with Spot as the protagonist rather than Arlo, which just confused them, and perhaps the writers as well. Spot, with his wild and endearing antics, naturally draws attention and affection. He's resourceful, brave, and has a certain charm that Arlo, with his hesitant and often fearful demeanor, lacks. This creates a disconnect because, while Arlo is meant to be the hero of the story, it's Spot who feels more like the character kids would want to root for. Yes, the film was a high-budget snooze fest, but we need to give credit where credit is due. The Good Dinosaur looked incredible. I have never seen a movie look that good in my entire life. If I were an animation professional, I'd be drooling over the tech used to create these photorealistic environments and breathtaking landscapes. But alas, I'm just a regular moviegoer who wanted a decent story, and of that, there was none. The story was sacrificed for the sake of visual splendor. Pixar's commitment to creating a visually stunning film overshadowed the narrative, leaving us with beautiful landscapes but a hollow plot. The heartwarming journey and character development that usually define Pixar's films were lost in the quest for technological advancement. This resulted in a movie that dazzled the eyes but failed to engage the heart, making The Good Dinosaur a perfect example of style over substance, a mistake normally made by amateurs. There's a lesson to be learned here. If you simplify something too much, it becomes drab and everyday. If I could get one wish, I'd wish that Pixar took Bob's initial idea, and because it was so complex, expanded it into a trilogy. This world where the comet never hit Earth, this alternate prehistory deserved more, and it could have been awesome. The Good Dinosaur is a textbook case of how behind-the-scenes chaos can turn a potential masterpiece into a cautionary tale. What started as a genius concept faced one roadblock after another, from leadership changes to complete overhauls of the story, cast, and animation. Bob Peterson's daring vision got tossed aside for a safer, watered-down approach, leading to Pixar's first-ever box office flop. Sure, the movie looked amazing, but let's be real, it was style over substance, a mistake you wouldn't expect from Pixar. This film's journey through production hell is a glaring reminder that you can't just slap a shiny coat of paint on something and expect it to work. Creativity and originality got lost in the shuffle, replaced by something bland and forgettable. If you found this breakdown as satisfying as I did, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments about what you think could have saved The Good Dinosaur. And remember folks, production hell is where good ideas go to die. Until next time, keep digging into the juicy stories behind your favorite films.